Hey, it's everybody's favorite night of the week. I am Will. I'm here with my boy Ben. We're the Fight Gods. We're ready to talk about some fighting. Ben, what's going on, bro?
Another day, man. Just enjoying it and enjoying my day off, relaxing.
Nice. What's the weather like, man? You getting more snow or what?
Dude, it was actually like 40 degrees today. It wasn't that
Nice.
bad. I think we're getting some snow over the next day or two, like, because it was awful warm today. So I'm expecting some snow. But
Yeah, shocker, man. Yeah, it was kind of nice here today too. It started off like about 25 when I got up at about 7 o'clock, but by 10 o'clock it was in the 40s, and by like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock it was in the 50s. But hey, look, I wanted to ask you something, man. You know how we said the other week that somebody must have been watching the show and taking our ideas? Is it possible that Diego Lima was watching our show the other day and decided to retire because he's a better coach? Because I said
dude,
that
I saw
last week.
that.
He retired today. Last week I was saying how much better of a coach and manager he is, and then like all of a sudden he retired, man. I think he took my advice, man. I'm proud of him.
He
I'm
still has
proud.
one fight left, though, right? Like he has a fight booked, and he's like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm retired." And
I think so. Oh, he has one booked. Oh
yeah,
wow, I didn't even know that. So he just bounced on that fight, or is he actually going to fight?
I'm not sure. Let me look to see if that's true. I thought I read that.
Oh yeah, he was scheduled to fight Miguel Baeza on April 16th.
Yeah.
So, but he's not fighting him apparently.
Right on. Okay.
I mean, according to this article, he's done. But you never know. He could whatever. But but yeah, man, that was pretty crazy. I was surprised when I saw it today. I was just talking about how much better he was on the other side of things. I mean, he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. Um, you know, but I think that he's just some people are made for the business side and some people are made for the sports side, and I think that he's made for the business side. Um, but besides that, Ben, I wanted to start the show and ask you about cheers, bro. Cheers, man. I got the
Cheers.
Coke tonight too. Um, there you go. Boom. Hey, you see all the stuff about Amanda Nunes saying that her knee was all messed up and all that other stuff about camp
I
and how her
saw the
camp was terrible.
I saw the article headline, but I didn't click on it. I tend not to. Some of those articles seem wicked clickbaity, so I try not
Yeah,
to. I mean, you lost, right? Like if
right.
your knees were bugging you and your knees weren't ready to go, then you should have told somebody. You should have pulled out. Like,
Yeah, for real. It's kind of crazy because all right, you had COVID, and then after COVID, you still weren't feeling good, so you rescheduled the fight. But now you got a messed up knee, and you're not going to reschedule the fight. I mean, come on, like you need your wheels. I think it's kind of weird. Um, to the butt, I got a chin though, guy. Oh, the butt, I got a chin though, guy. I don't know where is he, man. He's not here right now. Maybe he'll be back next episode. But for right now, me and Ben are here holding it down, bro. Um, but yeah, it's just weird that like, okay, you're gonna postpone a fight, call a fight off, whatever it is, for one thing, and then not do it for the other. It's like you had two different ailments that are equally a problem. Obviously, COVID affects your lungs and cutting weight and all that stuff, but now you got knee problems, and knee problems will affect your cutting weight as well, and your performance. It's just weird that she did it for one and not the other, and then now she's supposedly blaming the thing for it. I've got the quote right here. She said, "My whole camp for this fight was a mess. I always want to put in my head I was okay. I can do this because we are like that. We want to go through whatever to step in the cage. And my first fight against her fell through. I got COVID, so all these things. And in my second fight with her, the camp, I went through a couple of issues as well that I knew I wasn't going to be able to really show up to the gym every day at 100%. But I don't want to let that fight go again. I don't think it would have looked good for me." So she said she paid for it. I was supposed to listen to the doctors. I was supposed to listen to my body and show up how I always do, 100% in the gym. I really showed how my camp was, and I feel like I paid for it. both knees were pretty bad and I wasn't able to recover, but I went through anyway. Every time I was training back home, the next day I couldn't even walk, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I don't see anything about her getting surgery. So I'm wondering what exactly, what the deal was with her knees. I'll have to read into that later on. But it's just weird that, like she's blaming that. So she didn't have a good camp. Her knees were screwed up. She's blaming her knees for the camp. But then, like we said the other day, she's starting up her own fight camp now, at her own gym, and she's doing her camp there. So it's just a very strange situation, man. I don't like that. I mean, we've heard it a million times from a million fighters. Nobody ever goes into a fight at 100%. It's just, what whoever was going through at the time is what they dealt with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if you ever find a fighter that says that they felt 100% through their camp, they're probably lying, right? I mean, everybody gets dinged up when they're in fight camp. It's just a matter of how bad you actually get dinged up.
Yeah.
And if you're the champion, and you're the GOAT, right? And you don't have anything to prove, right? You've already defeated everybody that's come before you. I don't think anybody would question your fortitude if you pulled out because your knees were bad. Like, it's not the same case with Ngannou, right? Because Ngannou had something to prove with this fight. Like, if he would have pulled out, there would have been a bad narrative behind him. And I mean, his coach even knew about the knee injury, and so there's someone else that can back up his story that his knee was actually messed up and they were considering pulling out. But like, it's not the same thing for Nunes. You have nothing to prove, and no one else has correlated with your story yet that your knees were messed up. So like, if she had pulled out, I would have been like, oh, she actually must have been fucked up, right? I would never have questioned it.
Right, and nobody would give her a hard time because she fights everybody.
And this is supposedly the toughest test of your career. Like, this is like the real thing. You'd think that you'd want to be 100%, especially going into a girl that's talked as much shit. Not that I'm saying that the shit talk was unwarranted, but Pena talked a lot of trash. Like, you'd think that she would have wanted to have been the best version of herself to shut this girl up. But
right. I'm not sure who it was, but he said her cardio was definitely off. She was gassed in one round. That is true. But at the same time, you saw something happen sometimes when you're in a fight. In my opinion, you saw Juliana Pena get dropped and she got up and she fought back and she got dropped again, right? Didn't she get dropped twice in the first round, Ben? And she got up and she kept fighting. And then it even got to the point where she got that, I think like an Americana on her at the end of the round. She didn't have it, but she had it. You know what I mean? She was cranking her arm, but wow, it's cousin. I don't know why it's due. Oh, hey, what's up, Tim? Cousin Chris. Cousin Tim. So basically what I'm saying is that sure, she did gas after the first round, but a lot of that could have been emotional, mental, anything else. Like you're used to beating the fuck out of people like she did the tall girl, Megan. Bro, one punch and she had Megan on her ass and Megan wasn't getting up. You know what I mean? And then she just grappled with her and submitted her. But that didn't work on Juliana. And sometimes, that just happens. And look, that takes a lot out of you,
I think it was mostly like mentally her energy got sapped from her, which then took the physical cardio away from her because she was on top at the end of that round. But like you said, Juliana didn't have that Americana in, but she had that Americana in. Like, if there was more time left in that round with a little more time to work, there would have been more space to create. And I think the mental break was there, and that's what sapped the rest of Nunes's energy. She was like, oh, shit, this girl can beat me on the ground, and she's eating my strikes. What do I do next?
Right. And I mean, we could see Amanda go out there next time. I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but we could see Amanda go out there and smoke her on the feet, knock her out in one round, and nobody would bat an eye and be like, hey, you know what? She just had a bad night, or Juliana had a great night. But we're not going to see that. And Cousin Tim, I know you'd said her cardio was definitely off. How do you think her cardio is going to be starting up her own gym and running her own fight camp, man? She's leaving in my opinion, a top 3 training facility and coach in the country and doing her own thing. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. What are we going to have? Are we going to have Nina in her corner as her head coach now? I mean, come on. What are we doing here? I think that's a horrible idea, and that might just be me. But Ben, did I tell you about the dream I had the other night about the fight? I legit, man. I swear, God's honest truth. I think I put in the group fight chat. I had a dream the other night. I woke up that morning. I had a dream. I guess it was in the morning, and I woke up from it. And basically, what happened was they went out there and they scrapped for 2 rounds. It was literally, it was Nunes versus Pena 2. It was the main event of a pay-per-view, which I was surprised about. That's how like detailed this dream was. They went out there and they scrapped for 2 rounds, and they were both like feeling it. And Amanda didn't come out for round 3. And now that's got to be my prediction that she retires in the corner between rounds. That's for real. It's funny that I say this, and people are probably like, he's fucking crazy, whatever. Usually when I have a dream and it's that vivid, it ends up happening. So anyway, I'll let Ben answer this other question, but that's just my 2 cents. And I know we're way ahead of things. I mean, a million things could happen between now and probably August or July, whenever they're going to fight because of the Ultimate Fighter going on. A million things could happen. Anything could happen. So we don't know 100% that they're fighting. The fight's not even booked yet. Anything. There could be a contract dispute, a major injury, whatever. So, I don't want to get too into it. Tim wants to know, what's your thoughts on Julius Angliscus versus Phil Davis, Mr. Wonderful?
I was actually going to mention that next. I was going to say we have some fight announcements to talk about too. Bellator announced today that there's a big matchup in the featherweight division between Adam Borix and Mads Brunel. Borix is on a 3-fight win streak. Brunel's on a 7-fight win streak if you go all the way back to his Cage Warriors days. That's a hell of a fight. But we actually talked specifically about Julius and Phil earlier today. I said that this was the one matchup I didn't want Julius to have in the division, actually. I think that Davis's wrestling and his top game are quite comparable to Nemkov's, and Nemkov is what gave Julius his first fits in Bellator. He was able to control the fight and search for a submission, and I think Davis has the ability to do that similarly. But I also know that Julius is a smart guy and that he has a decent chance standing on the feet to knock him out. He's got good power. So I believe Julius will obviously be drilling his wrestling for this one. But I still feel like Davis will probably grind something out here.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely we're going to see some wrestling in this fight. I guarantee it. Hopefully Julius is drilling his wrestling big time. Anthony Smith is a pretty damn good wrestler, in my opinion, and that's his main training partner. So hopefully they're focusing on that. Also, Anthony's kind of a bigger guy. He's taller, because I think Phil Davis is taller than Julius as well. So having like a taller wrestling sparring partner, would be the right call for this. I do think that he could knock out Phil under the right circumstances, but I also could see Phil just like holding on and just, like you said, just basically just wrestle humping him for 3 rounds, especially since it is a 3-round fight.
Nemkov's a better striker, right? And he's got a better chin on him than I think Phil Davis does. And Julius was able to sit Vadim down with a nice strike. But I wonder if Phil will even give him the opportunity to throw hands. Nemkov was confident in his striking until Julius landed clean, and then he wasn't as confident in his striking anymore. So I wonder if Phil will even give Julius a chance to light him up. I mean, I would love to see Julius. Like my heart's rooting for Julius, but if I had to pick, I see Phil exactly wrestle humping him until the decision or searching for a Kimura or something from the top game.
Yeah. I was really hoping that he would fight Machida. And I love Machida, but Machida's on the other side of the hill at this point, and I think Julius matches up pretty well with him.
I
Julius is
wanted to
naturally a
see
bigger
him
guy.
fight that guy that Dolets there, the guy that fought Anthony Johnson in the first round of the tournament.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
I wanted to see. That's why I wanted to see Julius fight, was because he took Johnson's place, but he didn't beat the same guy Johnson did. So I feel like it would be a good fight for him. But he gets this one, which is an even bigger fight for Julius. This is them, obviously giving him something back for stepping in on short notice, and
For sure.
so Julius. Either way, Julius deserves this fight, and I wish him the best.
Yeah, I wish it was the main event though. I kind of hate that it's not, that it's the co-main.
That Boric and Brunel fight's huge though. That's probably the next
Yeah.
contender at 145. So
Right. I figure that'll be next for what, McKee, right?
McKee.
Yeah. So actually, Julius did move up to number 4. He went ahead of Anthony Johnson over the last month or so. I don't know when the last time Bellator updated their rankings is. So really, only above Julius is Bader, Davis, and Corey Anderson.
And I don't think we see Bader at 205 again. So
yeah, I don't see it either.
well,
You're right.
especially with his next fight already booked at heavyweight.
Yeah, again, right? Because he just okay. So he just
oh yeah, he beat Vitali. Was it Minikov there that he beat, and he immediately got booked against Czech Congo. They had pretty much announced that fight, that the next guy was getting Congo before the fight even happened, really. So
yeah, I gotcha. So Tim, that's an interesting question. And I don't know. Listen, I don't know what kind of a deal Julius signed with Bellator, but a lot of times when a guy goes to a new promotion, especially a bigger one, he fights a 3-fight deal. Isn't that right, Ben? Usually it's a three-fight deal. The first
3 or 4.
So this would be his 3rd fight, this would be his 4th fight in Bellator.
Yeah.
So. No, this would actually be his 5th, so he probably did just re-sign another contract. I thought it was his 4th fight. Okay, excuse me. I would say that if he beats Phil Davis, he probably would have to win one more fight. They probably, I think Corey Anderson gets the next title fight, right? Because that's the finals.
Yeah.
They would definitely try to match Julius up with either like Rumble or Machida, or one of those
Carl
two guys.
Albertson.
Yeah, it'd be hard though for Albertson, because if Julius was to beat Phil Davis, he'd be number 2, and then going down to fight number 7. But with Bellator, everybody's so close. I guess maybe in UFC it would be a harder sell.
Mostly Albertson's got that. He's already got it in. He has a win over Nemkov's brother. Albertson has fought Yuri Prochazka. So the ranking in Bellator would mean less to me against who Albertson has actually fought. You kind of have that narrative built in that, he could fight Nemkov soon-ish, but Nemkov has to get through Anderson anyway. So things might be a little different for Julius and other guys if Anderson wins. So
yeah, that's true. Hey, Julius is a pretty good wrestler. I'm going to be honest with you. He's not a bad wrestler at all. And we've seen that in some other fights. Definitely not against Nemkov, but Nemkov is different. It's that Russian wrestling is
that's all that I'm saying, right? Is Nemkov using his sambo was able to control him, and I think that Davis's wrestling it might not be as good overall as Nemkov's grappling, but he's heavier on the top. I feel, because he's a big 205er. I don't know. I could be dead ass wrong, and Julius could fucking spark him, and it won't even matter. But
yeah, well, what I was gonna say is that since coming to Bellator, Phil Davis has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on, he's had 5 split decisions in Bellator. He has a really bad habit of, I think, getting complacent, and that's one thing he's not going to be able to do against Julius. He did that against Yoel Romero. They kind of canceled each other out. But against Julius, he's going to have to be real careful because Julius is very explosive. So that could be an issue for him. Actually, that Ryan Bader one was in the UFC. So he's lost Ryan Bader twice by split decision. It's 4 in Bellator, and then some in the UFC, I guess. Some split decision losses, at least one. But man, when you have a lot of split decisions, it's just one of those things where, like I said, I feel like he gets complacent sometimes, and he's just like fighting not to lose rather than to win. And if you do that against some of these young guys that have that kind of power, you can have an issue. So I'm very intrigued by the matchup. I'm looking forward to that a lot. But besides that, there also was another retirement announcement today, Ben, that the Roxanne Modafferi's fight at UFC UFC 271 is the last fight that she's going to do. She's retiring after the fight, which I hate to hear. We'll talk about that fight when we get to it, but I always feel like when somebody says, well, this next fight is my last fight, it's like halfway out the door. You know what I mean? It's a commitment thing. I mean, how hard are you really training if your goal isn't to be the world champion anymore? But like I said, we'll get into that. But did you have anything to say about her? I mean, she is a trailblazer. She's done some amazing things. I'm not knocking her in the least. I think she's pretty awesome for the sport. I hate that she didn't win the Ultimate Fighter. Who was it that she lost to?
Wasn't it Nico Montano?
Yeah, exactly. And now if we look back, I think that Roxanne probably would have been better off as the winner as far as business
absolutely,
goes.
because Montano ended up having to vacate the belt because she refused to make weight anyway. So
yeah.
But I mean, Roxanne is one of the few good guys. I mean, I'm using guys in quotation of the sport, right? Like, she's genuinely a good person. She's genuinely an exciting. I mean, she might not always have the best fights, but she goes in there to win every fight. And she deserves any amount of recognition that she gets. She blazed a good trail for women's MMA, and like I said, she's a genuinely good person. And I hope that whatever she does outside of fighting is successful for her, because, man, she's the only person I know that could be getting punched in the face and still be smiling and happy, and not in a crazy person way, but in like a like she's actually happy to be there way. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, definitely. She passes the babysitter test too, Ben. I mean,
yeah,
you'd leave your kids with her.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So Chili Willy in the building. I don't know why your guys' names aren't popping up anymore. This is driving me nuts. But I know Chili Willy's the way Chili Willy signs on with the muscle and the smile. So Chili Willy, what's good, bro? Hope everything's good in the Philippines. We're just talking about some UFC tonight. Big pay-per-view this weekend.
Before we do our picks, I did want to talk about one more thing. It has to do with the fights this weekend. So I don't know if you saw Derek Brunson's interview this morning.
I didn't see it, but I read it.
Yeah, Brunson said win or lose, period. He's 2 fights left, and then he's done.
Horrible thing, too. I mean, but I don't like that. But let's talk about that when we're actually talking about the fights. But I am glad you brought that up. But actually, there was something that I wanted to bring up to you, Ben. So, David Feldman, the guy who is the president of BKFC, says that basically he backs the athletic commission, but he doesn't agree with it. I'm like, come on, man, that's horrible.
Why David Feldman doesn't get paid to license fighters. And that's why he gets paid to book fighters, because David Feldman's not thinking of the best interest of the man who's getting punched in the face.
Right.
I don't care who you are or who I'm talking to, but I would say this to Melvin Gillard. I'd say this to David Feldman if they were both on our show. Like, there's nothing that Melvin Gillard needs to do inside that ring anymore. Like, he doesn't belong in there, and what's going to happen is he's going to end up seriously messed up if he continues getting in there.
Definitely.
So, I mean, Feldman's kind of taken the coward's way out by saying he agrees with the athletic commission, but he doesn't agree with them. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's playing both sides. I totally agree. Chili, we're going to talk about that fight actually second. But I really hope you're right about that, man, about Lewis going to sleep. But we will get into that. The thing I did want to say about Melvin Gillard, look, the guy back in the day, he talked a lot of trash. He was like, he had that pizzazz. He had the blonde hair, like just like Kevin Randleman, but a smaller. His fights were all freaking exciting. It was all good. And over the years, like, he talks less. His voice is kind of like, it's just not the same already. And you keep this up, and in 10 years, Melvin Gillard won't know who Melvin Gillard is. And that's happened more to boxers, but that's only because MMA is a young sport. You keep letting this guy get knocked out like it's his job, eventually it's not going to end good for him.
Dude, you know? His career started in 2002, right? And that's his first documented fight. That's not counting any amateur fights that he would have had or any of that Nate Diaz type barroom shit that nobody actually legally sanctioned. You know, those fights that the Diaz bros did early in the day.
Oh, yeah,
when they were like 16, scrapping at clubs. Like, so this guy's been fighting since probably 2000 or 1999, if we're being realistic. So he's been getting punched in the head for over 20 years. His last fight against Joe Riggs, in one punch, he got his orbital bone fractured. Like, what is there to? What athletic commission is going to give this guy a license to fight?
Yeah,
I just don't understand where David Felder or Feldman or whatever his name is thinks that it's a good idea to keep booking this guy. It's like I already told you, the name value isn't there anymore.
It's not.
So,
you know what's going to happen, and I can already see it happening, is one of these Japanese companies is going to let Melvin Gillard come over there and fight in Japan, because there's not athletic commissions and all that kind of shit, and it's going to be unfortunate.
One of those juiced up guys over in one of those Asian companies is going to fucking literally knock his head off.
Yeah. I mean, probably. Yep. But it's sad, man. And I don't want to see him take losses. Like I said, I had hours and hours of enjoyment watching him fight, man. He was an exciting fighter. He was great, but now it's just like, it's just cringe TV. But
yeah, I mean, and you don't blame the fighter, right? Because they're just doing what they're programmed to do. Yep. But you got to blame his family, his friends, his management, the companies that he's booking for. Like, what do you need to keep seeing him get his head beat in for? Like, what is anyone around him gaining other than his physical and mental decline?
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. It's just nothing good can come of it. I guarantee you he's not making very much money at this point.
Not on the prelims of a BKFC card. I can't imagine he's getting that much money.
No, definitely not.
Not enough to lose years off your life.
No, not at all. Hey, the last thing I did want to talk about, and then we can definitely get into these fights. Luis Pena put out today that he booked his first fight post UFC. The same guy who's gotten in trouble for stealing and domestic abuse. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And he said it's going to be his first fight outside of the UFC, since he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and also his first fight outside the country. And then his hashtag was From Russia with Love. And he put a picture of himself on the James Bond head, like his head over the James Bond body, and wrote From Russia with Love. So obviously he's going to be fighting in Russia. No clue what company is going to book him over there, unless Khabib books him to fight in Russia to get his ass kicked by one of these, up and coming Dagestan guys. But besides that, I just, I don't see this dude doing very well. I think he's he's got a lot of demons, and I don't think that he's going to be able to get it together this quickly. 2 jail stints within a year, all kinds of issues, man. But what are your thoughts on him, Ben?
I don't have many thoughts on him, if I'm being honest. He was one of those guys that I supported until it came out that he had physically assaulted his girlfriend, and then it came out that he had mental health issues and he had drug issues, and I forgave him the first time, right? Because sometimes when you're struggling mentally, you can't help what you do, right? You're not yourself.
Right.
And then the second time, it was the second time it was okay. I'm not wasting my headspace on a guy like this because I have 2 daughters at home, and if it was them, you know what I mean, this guy wouldn't be, he's not worth the headspace. A guy like that is a mess, and he's always going to be a mess. And yep. There's just nothing that's going to change that. And I know mental health is a son of a bitch, but at some point, it's not the mental health or the drugs. It's just who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's true. You got to get help. I mean, mental health is an issue, but you've got to be willing to do something about it and get that help, or it's never going to get better. You know what I mean? And like you said, eventually you have to take responsibility or credit for what you're doing and get it under control. A lot of people are suffering from mental health problems, but if you do, or you have somebody with you that tells you you're having mental health problems, get some help, man. Seek some help. It's everywhere, and these days you can get any kind of medical help you need at this point. You could pretty much get for free in the United States. You just have to figure out a way to do it. So it's out there. But anyway, Ben, I did want to tell you something real quick because you just made me think of this with the mental health and drugs and whatever. While I'm driving during the day working, so that I don't go crazy or listen to the same music over and over, I started listening to some audiobooks. And today I started Chris Lieben's biography. And it's an interesting book, I'll tell you that. I hate the fact that he didn't read it, which, interesting side note, he actually can't read very well. And until after he graduated from high school and was halfway through college, he was illiterate. I mean, self-professed. He said he couldn't read and he could barely write. So that's why he didn't read his own book on tape, I'm sure. But yeah, the Cat Smasher, exactly. A lot of this book, Ben, and I don't want to sound like I'm like talking about myself, because a lot of the things that would be included in this I wouldn't be proud of, but listening to his story and the way he felt about situations and shit that he got into reminds me a lot of myself, minus the alcohol and drugs, because I'm not a heavy drinker and I've never done any kind of hard drugs, and he is a heavy drinker and did hard drugs. But just seriously, when I'm listening to this, I'm like, holy shit, like we had similar paths in our lives at certain times. Obviously I wasn't in the UFC, but this goes, a lot more in depth than just the UFC, and just certain things in there. I'm like, man, this guy is me, if he didn't do all the drugs and alcohol, but then maybe he wouldn't be himself if he didn't do that. But it's an interesting book. Very cool. I think I'm through the first 2 chapters, something like that. The first chapter is his fight versus Patrick Cote, and man, like it tugs at your heartstrings. There's a lot to that fight. I got to go back and watch the fight after the show's over tonight, just because he tells like mini stories that were going on in his life. And he's like, and at this point in the fight, I did this, and I don't want to spoil the book in case you ever want to read it. But I got to go back and watch the fight now and see different parts of it, especially like what his cornerman saying to him and just different things like that. Fucking awesome book so far, though. Anyway, UFC 271. I'm very excited about this card. Ben, I'll let you go ahead and start with the main event. I guess you want to go start with the main event, or you want to start with the prelims and work our way up?
We'll start with the big boys and go towards the prelims.
Okay.
So Israel Adesanya versus Bobby Knuckles 2. Man, I'm really excited for this fight. This is like the best version of Robert Whitaker we're gonna get to see. I think he's looked great his last 3 fights since he lost to Izzy. Um, these guys genuinely don't like each other. They don't, they don't hate each other, but they don't like each other either. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
there's a genuine dislike there. They're just two totally different people. Um, Israel just signed the second largest deal in UFC history. He didn't outright say that he's only making less money than Conor McGregor, but there's only one guy in the company making more money than him, and that's Conor McGregor.
Right.
And man, the narrative here is that people expect Bobby to wrestle and to grapple with Izzy, but I don't think that's going to be the answer. But man, I'm really excited for this. And if we're going to go with our picks, I'm picking Izzy.
Yeah.
I said it his last fight against Jan. I said until I get a reason to pick against Izzy, I'm gonna keep picking him, and I'm not gonna take one loss at 205 as like the narrative that to beat him that way. I just think that he's a step ahead of these guys at 185. I really like Robert Whitaker, and I mean, he could win, but I'm picking Izzy here.
Yeah. I pretty much second all that. BW. He's got BW. Okay, Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whitaker.
Bobby Whitaker.
Yeah, it's probably cousin Tim that said that. No, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said. I can't I can't go against Israel right now. I think he's at a great point in his career. I think that honestly he's probably what number is he pound for pound? Like number 3 or something?
Probably number 3 or 4. Yep.
Yeah, but I can't bet against him. I like him a lot. I don't blame them for giving him that kind of a contract because as opposed to Kamaru Usman and Francis Ngannou, his fellow countrymen right there. Well, no, the two. Okay, so he's from Cameroon.
They're all from Africa, though.
World champions from Africa, right? He deserves more money than they do because of his personality. I'd say all 3 of them are exciting fighters. Cool. Izzy has a personality, and his personality is amazing. And I know that they see money written all over him. I couldn't argue with him being the second highest paid fighter in the UFC. And who is it? All of our things are just saying Facebook user. Whose pick is Robert Whitaker? I'm not sure. Is that you, Chili?
Izzy just oozes charisma, right? The guy just, he comes on stage and you can feel his presence, right? Like,
oh yeah.
And he's exciting and he's marketable. And he changed his fight camp. He's here in the States now due to all the COVID restrictions and protocols that were overseas there. Like I said, it's not like it would be far fetched for Bobby to win. It's a definite possibility because Izzy's number 1 and Bobby's number 2, right? It's like a 1A, 1B type thing. But
Chili
I just
Willie's
don't.
taking Whitaker by TKO, by the way.
Oh,
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If he did win by TKO, I think it'd be like ground and pound or something like that. I don't see him.
Yeah, he'd clip
Izzy,
Izzy and drop him and finish him on the ground.
Yeah.
But I just, Izzy's making his lap, and I don't know who can stop him right now.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. But yeah, I'm going with Israel. But as opposed to it happening, I believe it was the second round in the first fight. Is that right, Ben? I think this one's going to go the distance. Yeah. I think this will go the distance. I think he'll win a decision. I think that we're going to see Robert Whitaker a lot better than the first fight, and I wouldn't be shocked Oh, okay. So Chili's got Whitaker by decision. Cousins Tim has Whitaker by TKO. All right. So I honestly, I mean, I think it'll end up being like a 47, 48-47 type of decision. See, I think it'll be a close fight. But I just think that I think that Izzy's got enough to pull out this fight. Like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if Whitaker wins. I don't think anybody's getting finished in that fight, though. Just my personal opinion. The co-main event, and it's interesting, and I think I said this to you the other week, and then we talked a little bit more about it. But it's interesting to me that they used the big boys as the co-main event, only because you know the fight between Cannonier and Derek Brunson really has more riding on it than Derek Lewis versus Tai Tuivasa, in my opinion. I think that it's a more important fight, but I think that they are banking on this being an exciting slugfest and somebody going to sleep, and they wanted the excitement value. People like, oh man, I got to see that fight. I thought this was actually going to be a fight night. Did it get moved? Did another title fight get canceled or something? No. Okay. I didn't know if this was maybe the spot that I don't know, one of the other fights was in, and then it got.
I mean, a second fight, a title fight, did get canceled on this card, but
Okay.
This matchup was made immediately to take that fight's place.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't originally supposed to be Jan versus Aljo, and then they rebooked it for that, where it was going to be the two lightweight. Either way, I'm like 95% sure that it was supposed to be Izzy, Bobby 2, and then Jan Aljo.
And then they just switched, and Jan Aljo too.
Yeah, they moved everything around, and then immediately, like once Ty won and Derek lost, or Derek won, whatever. Yeah, once Derek beat Daukus and whatnot, and made this fight pretty much right off.
Yeah, because both these guys are coming off of a very short break, so.
And it's very rare that I would say this, but I don't guarantee fireworks very often because shit can happen. But there's no way that this is a repeat of Lewis and Ngannou. Ty's just not that kind of fighter. You know what I mean? Ty, to his I mean, I might as well just go into my pick here. Ty, to his detriment, slugs it out to to his own discredit. Like he's lost fights this way, and I think he'll lose this fight this way. Bringing the slugfest forward and looking for that knockout. I mean, I mentioned it a couple weeks back that he got clipped by Greg Hardy. If Hardy was a little bit cleaner, I don't know if Ty would have withstood that punch to the chin. I'm not saying Ty has a weak chin, but when you're at heavyweight, any shot can put you to sleep. And I think Ty's going to land clean, and I think he's going to go in, and I think Derek's going to clip him, and that'll be all she wrote.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I'll be honest with you.
Have you ever seen Derek get knocked out?
I'm going to go with Ty because I feel like I've ridden the ride this far, so I got to roll with him. But I'm a little bit worried about him for this fight. I'm just going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, you might as well keep going with him. Roll with him. And I like Ty. Ty's a great fighter, and his story right now is great. Coming back from like being on the brink of getting cut. But I think, like I said, it's to his detriment. He gets a little sloppy sometimes.
Yeah.
And a big boy swanging and banging and looking for that knockout, it's easy to get sloppy. And I think that's where you don't want to be sloppy against Derek Lewis.
Right.
Ask Curtis Blades. He shot in for a sloppy takedown and woke up a few minutes later. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that that Ty can win this fight. I do like Derek Lewis, and like I said, I wouldn't be shocked either way. It's one of those things that it's cool, whatever.
But Ty said he was going to do a cuppy if he won the fight. Did you hear that?
I did see something about that. Yeah,
he was going to drink a beer out of Derek Lewis's ball holster.
God, I hope not. Hey, Fonz, I just want to say what's up, bro. I see that you'd said what's up earlier. I don't know. We're not, for some reason, Ben, this has 15 comments on Facebook. I'm just looking at that right now in the bare knuckle page, and I don't know, like a lot of people are commenting, and we're not getting half of them, and everything just says Facebook user. It's all good though. If Ty wins, Ty versus Gon, I hope not. If he wins, I hope that they just kind of keep him on ice and give him a title shot. Honestly, I don't want him to have to fight against anybody who's real technical. I think Gon will be a horrible matchup for Ty. I think Ty's body would get fucking destroyed with kicks before he can land something big. I think that's what Cyril Gahn would do. He would just keep him at bay with jabs and kicks to the body all night long until he could finish the fight. But if he beats Lewis, I think he's got a claim to say, hey, I should get a title shot, because that's how Cyril Gahn got his. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I am going to pick Ty against. I'm going to say this. I'm picking Ty against my better judgment. There it is. That's how I feel about it. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Ty can win that fight.
This is a both guys fight are awesome. That the fans win, though. You know what I mean? Like no matter what. Eric Lewis is a good guy who's a lot of fun to watch. Ty's a good guy who's a lot of fun to watch. So it's like you can't be mad with the outcome no matter what, unless both guys knock each other out at the same time.
Yeah, or they just hold on to each other for 3 rounds straight. That would be so bad. I don't see it though.
I'll shave my mustache if that happens.
Oh God, that'd be bad. All right, Ben, I'm gonna let you talk about the next one first. Derek Brunson versus Jared Cannonier. This is a very interesting matchup. Hey, every time you guys comment, do you mind just putting like your name at the end of it or something, like slash?
That's my boy. Whoever Facebook user is, you got the right idea. Lewis is probably going to win by knockout. But nah, man. So this fight is, like you said, it's a very interesting fight because it's not necessarily a clash of styles, because like Cannonier can wrestle if he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally a clash of stories, right? Like Derek Brunson's on a 5-fight win streak. I think Cannonier's only won 2 in a row. Cannonier has actually lost 2 title eliminator fights already. So I don't know what you do with Cannonier if he loses a 3rd title eliminator here against Brunson, because there's no way this isn't a title eliminator. Brunson will be on a 6-fight win streak, and he was the man who started Izzy's run to the top, so that you've got a built-in storyline right there. Izzy already said he wanted to fight Cannonier, so again, you've got like the built-in storyline right there. But I honestly see this fight going one way. And my pick is, you already know who my pick is.
Oh yeah.
My pick, it's like you said, you might as well ride the wave that you've been riding on. And I've been picking Brunson for the last 6 fights, 5 fights. You know what I mean? I even said that I thought that he would be champion at 185. I know I just picked Izzy and I can't pick against him, but Brunson's, I got Brunson. And the Brunson versus Izzy fight, if it happens, will literally be one of the hardest fights I've ever had to choose. Because
here's the problem. He says after this fight he's got 2 fights left, Ben?
No, I'm assuming, according to the interview, what I understood was this fight, and then he beats Izzy, and then he's done.
I don't think they'll even give him the title fight if he's talking that craziness. I mean, we'll see what happens, but if you tell me you're going to retire, even if you win the title, as a promoter, I'm not giving you the title shot, man, because then you're just fucking up everything. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you know how Francis is, like his. Yeah. There's that clause in your contract. If you win the title, I think you have to at least defend it once or some shit. I think that the UFC has built that into their contract, so it must be 2 fights from here. Like he wins this, fights Izzy, defends the belt, whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm picking Brunson here. I think his wrestling's too good, his top game is too good, and Whitaker, and I don't remember who the other guy that Cannonier fought. I'm blanking for some reason right now. Was it Gastelum maybe? I don't know. Either way, he got out wrestled and out grappled against the fence and stuff and out positioned. And I think that's the way to win the fight here. Cannonier is a hell of a fighter and he's got a lot of power. And Brunson has been knocked out before. That's kind of like the one knock on him is that he didn't have a chin there for a little bit. But I've been riding this wave the whole time. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I think that just being a 3-round fight, I think if it was a 5-round fight, I would have a little bit different take, but I'd still have Brunson as the winner. Chili Willie, you said Brunson, Wilmington, NC wins this fight. Hell yeah, I'm with you, bro. I think that he grinds out a decision. I think that I actually think if this was a 5-round fight, he might actually be able to finish Cannonier late in the fight. But because it's only 3 rounds, I think that he takes a nice decision. Basically, up against the cage, dirty boxing, wrestling, whatever he's got to do. Just don't let this guy fight you at distance. That's the only thing he can't do.
And Cannonier in his interview today, he was like, "Oh, well, he can wrestle." And he's like, he's got a really good grappling game. And then he's like, "Oh, and I guess he can knock people out too." It's like, yeah, dude. So you don't, you got to be careful of all of Brunson's game, really. And I don't think Brunson has to worry about a takedown or getting taken down. So that kind of makes his path to, he has to watch out for the striking and the heavy hands of Cannonier. And heavy hands don't last forever. We kind of saw that this weekend with Miles Johns, how, you only have power for so long until you lose it because you lose your energy. So I think if Brunson can avoid the heavy hands for the first round at least, he has an easier path to victory.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that, like I said, just don't fight this guy at distance. If you want, I think in the pocket, I think Derek Brunson does very well against him. But as soon as he's out, within jabbing distance and those front kicks and stuff like that, then he might have an issue. So he's got to close the distance, whether it's to wrestle, to grapple, hold him against the cage, whatever. But just don't stay, 2, 3, 4 feet away from him. You're either in close or get the hell away from him till you're ready to figure out what you want to do. Because that would be the one thing that I could see happening is Cannonier knocking him out. If he was to win, he's not going to win a decision. And obviously he's not going to submit Derek Brunson. Not in, I don't know, maybe 1 out of 100 fights. Maybe he could pull off a submission, but I doubt it. But, pulling off some kind of a knockout would be about his only route to victory. And I'm sure that's what they're banking on. We agree on that one. Let's see. So the fight before that one is going to be Kyler Phillips versus Marcelo Rojo. Ben, I've got my notes. I'm just gonna open these up real quick because I took notes on all these fights. I pulled one out of your queue and did some fights. So I'm just pulling up my picks. I got Kyler Phillips in this one.
I think he's fought better competition inside the cage.
Definitely. And there was something that I didn't like about his opponent, and I'm going to tell you what it is. Give me 1 second. Marcelo Rojo. I think Marcelo, if I'm not mistaken, where's he at? I'm just pulling up his Tapology right here. Let's see. So here's the thing that I did not like about him. Okay. In his last 4 fights, he's 2-2. Actually, his last 6 fights, he's 3-3. He's a 50-50 fighter. And, only the one fight was in the UFC. He's lost, 2 fights in Global Combate, within his last 6 fights. So he's 3-3 in his last 6 fights. Then he signed to fight 3 different people, and every one of them got canceled. And then finally, he's fighting Kyler Phillips. I don't know why these fights were canceled. Let's see. Actually, his opponents withdrew those last 3 fights. It was Daniel Santos, Jonathan Martinez, and Kevin Kroom all pulled out. He was probably pissed because that was August, September, October of last year. Anyway, Kyler Phillips is pretty badass. I think he's at a good point in his career. He did lose his last fight, but before that, he'd won 4 in a row. And like you said,
including a win over Song Yadong.
hey man, nobody beats Song Yadong and gets away with it, bro. So
And
Brunson
I don't know if you noticed that Kyler Phillips' his loss was a majority decision. So it means that there was also a judge that voted it as a draw.
right. That was against
Leon
Paiva.
Paiva.
Yeah.
Kyler Phillips is a training partner of Sean O'Malley's too, if I remember correctly.
Okay. And it was fight of the night. Let's see, it was the co-main event at fight night. Let's see, who was the main event for that fight? Okay, it was man, that got fight of the night over Corey and TJ. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, I think Kyler Phillips got this one in the bag. Cousin Tim said Brunson is plus 130, Whitaker is plus 225, and Ty is plus 150. Now, see, I knew that Ty and Brunson would be slight underdogs, but that's pretty close to even money. I mean, it's pretty right there. Whitaker's 2-1, but these guys are about 1.5 to 1. That's not bad. Brunson, I mean, that might as well be even money, plus 130. Cannonier's probably minus 110 if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I don't see that fight by fight time. I think that'll be a pick 'em. Basically, what I'm saying. This fight right here, Ben, I'm very curious about. The next one, Bobby Green versus Nasrat, and I don't know how to say it. Hakapashras. Hakprast. I got you were talking about it last time, and I really thought Bobby Green looked good against Ally Quinta. I mean, he's looked good in a lot of his fights lately. He's 4-2 in his last 6 fights. Even the fights that he lost, like against Fiziev, he looked pretty good.
Some people thought he won that fight too. So
a lot of people did. You're right. Mm-hmm. And the guy that he's fighting, Nasrat, he's coming off that loss to Dan Hooker. And he had the loss a couple fights before that to Drew Dober, where he got knocked out. It seems like Nasrat, as of late, early in his career, he was a little bit better about it, but he doesn't finish fights. He just goes to a decision. And I think that Bobby Green actually tries to finish fights. Even if he doesn't finish them, he tries for the finish. And I think Bobby Green will beat him by decision, just to be honest with you. And I'm looking forward to this fight. I think it'll be very, very interesting.
Bobby Green's my pick too. Bobby just looks really good lately. Nothing beats being active, and he's one of the most, if not the most active guy over the last 2 years.
Lightweight, yeah.
Yeah, he fights constantly. And he's not fighting bums, you know what I mean? Not that Nasrat is fighting bums, right. But I mean Bobby Green's fighting some of the best that 155 has to offer. So you just can't beat experience, and you can't beat being active. And I got to go with Green on this one.
Yeah. All right, Ben, I'm going to give you this one. Andrei Arlovsky versus Jared Vanderaa.
Dude, Andrei Arlovsky lately is the prospect killer.
He really is.
He just celebrated, I want to say it's his 43rd birthday this week. They celebrated it down at ATT. Man, I just don't pick against Arlovsky. He's the OG, man. And he was
at ATT?
I think that's where he's at. Was ATT.
He's not with Greg Jackson anymore?
I don't know. Maybe
he was with Greg for a while. It may be at ATT. I don't know.
Well, I know that it was on my Facebook feed, and I don't know if I follow Greg Jackson's gym on Facebook, so that's why I thought it was ATT. But
he might be at ATT. But yeah, I mean, he beat Chase Sherman, and he beat Carlos Felipe.
Yeah.
And Tanner Bozer. He did lose to Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, but everyone is right now.
Yeah, for real. But what do you think of this fight?
I don't know a lot about Vanderaa. I know he's not bad, but I don't think I've seen enough of his fights for me to be like, okay, I think he's gonna beat Andre. Plus, like I said, Andre's the OG. He was in those Universal Soldier movies, so I'm I'm gunning for Andre Arlovsky here. I'm gonna pick Arlovsky.
See, this is one of the rare occasions where I'm going with you, man. I'm with Arlovsky too. Uh, Vanderas coming off that bad knockout loss. I can't remember who he got knocked out by, but it was the night of the Mackenzie Dern fight. I
Oh,
was looking at it
Alexander
earlier.
Romanov.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Romanov's good. Romanov's pretty damn good, right? He's undefeated.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a badass dude. But just coming off of a nasty knockout and being like a younger fighter. Any idea how old Jared is?
I'm actually on his page right now. He is 29.
29, coming off of a bad knockout. And you're going against somebody who's such a legend, probably one of your heroes. I gotta go with Arlovsky, man.
So if you look back, he started his UFC career with a TKO win on the Contender Series, lost to Sergey Spivak, beat Justin Tafa, lost to Alexander Romanov, and I'm pretty sure the Vanderov fight is the one that Tafa said that he didn't really think he lost and he wants to run back. Not that I'm saying anything bad about professional fighters, but Sergey Spivak is no Andrei Arlovsky.
Right.
He's a great fighter, but I just think that this is another one of those ones where they're trying to gauge where Vandera is at by giving him a veteran, and they're going to be disappointed. Arlovsky's going to turn back another one of those prospects.
I think so too. I mean, in a lot of ways, he's like an older version of Derek Lewis. Because Derek Lewis has been knocking out these prospects too. And I say that, and I want Ty to win the fight, and I'm worried about it. But I mean, you've seen even with with Chris getting knocked out in that fight against Derek Lewis. I mean, everybody, Volkov getting knocked out by Derek Lewis. Volkov was a fight. I think if he'd have won that fight, he would have probably been in a title eliminator.
Oh
And
yeah,
looked good.
definitely.
I'll tell you something real quick about Andrei Arlovsky. That's kind of funny. Anybody that's listening, you got a kick out of this. Back when I was writing my articles, I wrote him a message, and I said, it was on Twitter. I said, hey, man, something along the lines of, I'm writing an article. I was wondering if you could help me out. I have a few questions for you. And he's like, sure, what can I do for you? And I said, thanks, Andre. I'll send the messages late. I'll send you the questions later on when I get home. Fucking autocorrect changed it from the way he spells his name to Andre, Andre. And he says, my name's not Andre, and then ghosted me. Pretty fucked up, man. That's exactly what he said. My name's not Andre. And then I never heard back from him, even though I said, oh, autocorrect did that. And I sent him the messages, never heard a word back. And I'm like, fuck, man. This dude's answered like 2 or 3 messages, and now autocorrect fucked me. I told him, I was like, autocorrect did that, but whatever. It's just one of those things. I was at work and messaging him quick. I know I spelt it right, but whatever. You know how autocorrect goes, man. But yeah, so that was my interview with Andrei Arlovsky, him telling me his name's not Andre. Like Andre. Yeah. 3000. Yeah. So anyway. So yeah, we're both going with Arlovsky. I should have said thanks, Arlovsky. He would probably like that better. But anyway, let's see what we got here. The fight before that. Roxanne Modafferi versus Casey O'Neill. I'll go first in this one. Casey's undefeated.
Yeah.
She knocked out Antonina. She's good.
Everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think that she'll, and I don't think that she will actually finish Roxanne. I think it'll be her first fight in the UFC that she wins by decision. But I just don't see Roxanne winning this fight, telling everybody, hey, this is my last fight. I'm going in here. I think Roxanne's, grappling and stuff will be enough to stifle some of the offense, not neutralize it in any way, but just kind of, neutralize it a little bit. enough where she won't get knocked out, but she'll lose a very convincing decision. I would even say there'll probably be like a 10-8 round in there somewhere. But I'm going with Casey O'Neill by unanimous for this fight. I don't even have to ask you who you're going with. I could just tell by your face when I was talking that you're going with Casey O'Neill as well. Hey, she's a hell of a prospect, bro. If she wins this fight, I would not be shocked if they give her a very like high profile fight. I think this is her her coming out fight. So I want her to look good.
Her coming out party.
Yeah, for real. So hopefully she shows out on that fight. But yeah, is she ranked yet, Ben?
Casey?
Yeah.
Let me look.
I want to say she's top 15, but not top 10. That's what I think.
She is number 15.
15. Okay.
Yep. As of October 4th, she's number 15.
There you go. And Roxanne is number 12. And Kate
24 years old, and she's number 15 in the world.
Yeah. You ready for this math, Ben? She's 15. Roxanne's number 12. And I think that if Casey beats Roxanne, she goes up to number 10, and everybody else moves down one, because Cynthia Cavillo's coming off that ass whipping she took, and Alexa Grasso hasn't really done anything recently, right? I don't think she's fought since the Macy Barber fight. Is that right? So I think that she leapfrogs to number 10 after this fight. And hey, look, Ben, we talk about it all the time, man. The UFC needs contenders for Valentina. If now, look, I know it's the pro wrestling thing, but if Casey can win a big fight after this fight, shit, man, you got the perfect matchup for Valentina, because the entire buildup could be like, well, she beat the shit out of my sister. I'm coming for revenge. You know what I mean? For real. I mean, hey, look, the UFC needs storylines for Valentina, because her just beating the shit out of every chick that just steps up is getting boring. You know what I mean? They're basically putting soccer moms in there with her. I mean, Lauren Murphy, okay, cool. She could probably win some bar fights, but Jesus Christ, she didn't look like she was in the same. It didn't look like they were in the same sport competing. You know what I mean? It looked like, a fucking bowler trying to play darts. It was ridiculous, man. I mean, it wasn't, whatever. Valentina's just too good. They've got to do some stuff. I wouldn't be shocked if. So I think Andrea KGB is probably going to lose her next fight. Andrea KGB Lee, and if Casey wins this and Andrea loses, I could see those two fighting next, and that leapfrogging her into the top 5. But just my 2 cents on it, man. But I know you're going with her too. So let's see what was the fight before that one.
Alex Perez and Matt Schnell.
Yeah, that's a hell of a fight, huh? I'm excited about this fight. What do you think of this one?
I think it's a shame that it's so low on the prelims, considering Alex Perez just fought for the belt his last fight. And the winner of this is obviously like right in title contention.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Perez, Figueiredo's champion right now, so he might have a little bit longer of a route to go. But unfortunately for Schnell, I don't think that he's winning this fight. I think Alex Perez is going to win. But that's just me basing it off strength of schedule.
Right. Yeah, I love Alex Perez, man. Honestly, like last year I kept asking, I said, where the hell is Alex Perez? Like, Nico would make fun of me about it, because like I kept asking, it was kind of like Shell Sonnen. Where does Kevin Lee fit into all this? I kept asking, where the hell is Alex Perez? And why are we doing 3 in a row of Figueiredo and Moreno? And Alex Perez and Figueiredo had a fucking one of the best flyweight fights I've ever seen. I don't care if it was only 2 minutes. Ben, that fight was amazing, I thought. It was one of the best 2-minute fights I've ever seen in my life. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, shit, didn't he drop Figueiredo? I got to watch it again. But yeah, he dropped Figueiredo and then got submitted. Like, it was fucking crazy. So I want to see him win this and get back into the title picture, man, because I think that he's got a lot more to offer than he's given us so far, and that's not his fault. I just think that at 29 years of age, it's his time, man. It's his time to shine. So I'm hoping that he does, man. So yeah, I'm going with Alex Perez, and I'm thinking he might be able to get the finish here, Ben. Honestly, hopefully he doesn't have any issues coming back after that submission loss. I doubt that he will. It's not like getting knocked out. But I think that he KOs Matt Schnell, man. I really do. Other people have been able to in the past, and Alex Perez, I don't even think he hits that hard. I just think he hits that well. You know what I mean? I think he's got very good speed and well-placed punches, where I think that he'll knock him out, man.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And I mean, Matt Schnell's good, but I think he's an underachiever, man. I think that he's one of those guys that wins the fights he's supposed to and then loses the fights he's supposed to. You know what I mean? Just like, he's never just shown me, oh man, this is the guy to watch. You know what I mean? It's like, well, he's fighting a journeyman or he's fighting an old guy, but as soon as he fights somebody who it's going to be like a good competitive fight, he loses. And that's unfortunate, but you got to have some kind of guys like that. The next one, William Knight versus Maxim Grishin. Let's see my notes real quick.
This fight is going to be a banger.
It is.
William Knight is built like fucking, I don't even know, dude. He's built like a Pokemon or like a fucking cartoon character. He's jacked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say, like, he kind of looks like He-Man. Like how those characters were.
Yeah, dude, he looks like a He-Man character. He looks like a fucking, like, one of He-Man's best friends or something. It's fucking wild.
Yep.
And Grishin is just very, very good on his feet.
Yeah. Yep. You want me to go first, or you want to?
Yeah, go for it.
I think that William Knight wins this one, man. I think it'll be a good fight, but I see him. I see him winning this fight, and I don't know, man. I don't know if he'll finish the fight, but I definitely think that he will win it. And this is a light heavyweight. How many fights has Grishin had at light heavyweight? Because he was a heavyweight before. He went up to the heavyweight division when he got to the UFC. Okay. Because before that, he was a light heavyweight, it looks like. Oh, you know what? He's one of those guys that flip-flops back and forth.
Constantly, yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
But for what it's worth, 3 fights ago, he fought Marcin Tybura at heavyweight. 2 fights ago, he was at heavyweight. Light heavyweight. And then his most recent fight, he missed weight by 5 pounds against Dustin Jacoby.
Yeah.
So, man, Grishin has a lot of experience. He's a heavyweight. But God damn it, William Knight is humongous.
He is, man. He is.
And he can do backflips, and it's fucking insane. So I got to go with William Knight. I think Grishin definitely has the experience edge. I think William Knight's 11-2, and Grishin has 31 wins.
Jeez.
So that doesn't even count. Although, I'm not that I'm saying he has a shitload of losses, but he's obviously got losses on top of his 31 wins. Grishin actually beat Alexander Volkov for the M1 global title way back in the day.
Really? I didn't know that.
So Grishin has some really good experience, but I feel like it's a bad sign to flip-flop weight classes like that, especially missing weight his last time out. So,
and he's 6'3". It's not like he's real tall. You know what I mean? So it's not. Yeah, I definitely feel good about Knight winning this fight.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, and like I said, Grishin is a dog. He's had 31 fights. He's fought a lot of great heavyweights. He's obviously withstood shots from both heavyweight and light heavyweight, but I feel like going from heavyweight to light heavyweight to missing weight, it's just not a good sign for your for your physicalness, physical abilities, your physicality. And like I said, William Knight's built like a fucking Pokemon or something, so he's gonna hit him once and he could hit him once and put him to sleep. So
for real. Did you ever notice that so Grishin has a very strange body type. He's not skinny, but he's not fat. He's just got like kind of like a Paul Felder body, and I just noticed he kind of looks like a big Paul Felder, doesn't he? Look at him. He could be like, Paul Felder's big brother. I just noticed that, man.
yeah,
I
so
mean,
like
it'll look good.
Grishin has fought um yeah, Trevor Prangley. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah.
him. That was a catch weight bout. Because Grishin missed weight. He fought Mario Miranda, who's a UFC guy at one point. He also missed weight for that fight. So he had a catch weight bout against a guy because he missed weight. He actually fought Magomed Ankalaev, who's got a UFC main event coming up soon, for the vacant AFC light heavyweight title.
Who's Magomed fighting in the main event coming up?
Ankalaev's fighting Thiago Santos.
Oh, that's right. You told me that I think a few weeks ago, or maybe last week. That'll be good.
Yeah, and then he fought in PFL, and did the 2018 tournament, but his first fight to make it into the tournament was a draw, so he didn't make it in.
So we may be looking at a catch weight with this fucking guy.
Then he tried fighting in the PFL light heavyweight tournament again, dude, a second time, and went to a draw again in the next year's light heavyweight tournament.
Oh my god.
And then his first fight was a heavyweight bout against Marcin Tybura. Then he dropped back down to fight at light heavyweight, and then he missed weight against Dustin Jacoby.
Jeez.
He's 38 years old.
Yeah. And Knight is what, 29 or something? Is that what we said?
I'm not sure. I've just been kind of blown away by this guy's career here.
Yeah, I think he might be 30 or something.
42 fights in Grishin's career compared to William Knight's 13.
That's interesting. But yeah, so that's the prelims. Was there anything on the early prelims you wanted to bring up?
I don't think so. I don't even know if I looked that far.
Okay. Let's see the early prelims. Damn, there's 6 fights on the early prelims, Ben. 6, and then 4 in the prelims, and then 5 on the main card. So that's 5, 9, 15 fights. So on the early prelims, let's see. Oh yeah, Douglas Silva de Andrade is fighting Sergey Morozov. I don't know much about Morozov, but Douglas is decent. He's not bad. Oh yeah, Alex Hernandez is fighting Renato Moicano.
That's right.
How the fuck is that on the early prelims? That's actually a fight that I'd like to watch.
It's funny you ask, because Alexander Hernandez literally asked that same question. How the fuck am I on the prelims?
Really? No, that's funny. I agree with him. Man, that's Ronnie Lawrence is fighting Mana Martinez, I guess you say.
It's like I said to you, I think it was yesterday. I said if you took the main card, right? Like got rid of Derek Lewis and Ty and Izzy and Bobby and just put any other main event on there, that's a fight night card. Every other fight on this entire card would be a great fight night card. All you'd have to do is, like, if you put Thiago Santos and Magomed Ankalaev on there as the main event, that's a hell of a fight night card.
Forget that. You just promote Cannonier versus Brunson.
Or
That's a
even
main
if you
event right
even
there.
if you had Ty and Derek as the main event
Yeah.
on a fight night and had Brunson and Cannonier as the main event co-main, this is still a hell of a card. And it's funny that we have this card that's so loaded that two guys on the cusp of the top 15 at 155 are fighting on the early prelims, and then we had what we had last weekend, where the co-main event was two dudes who each had 2 fights in the UFC. You know what I mean? It's
Pretty
just kind
wild.
of funny.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, we'll just say next week we will do a Knucklemania preview and Elimination Chamber preview because Elimination Chamber's on Saturday, Bare Knuckle is on Friday. There's no UFC next weekend, or is there?
Oh no, we have UFC for the next 8 weeks. They said
Holy
last
shit.
weekend.
Damn, I'm gonna have a busy weekend next weekend with all the fights, everything. Oh wow, Dos Anjos versus Fiziev is the 19th, same night as the Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
Jamal Hill versus Johnny Walker. I like that fight too. Kyle DeCoste versus Julian Marquez. That's a good fight too. Damn.
Julian Marquez is out. They replaced him with. No, they replaced him with someone equally as good though.
Okay.
I just don't remember who it was.
Gotcha. Hey, that's cool. We'll check it out.
Yeah, and then we've got Dariush versus Makachev after that, Covington versus Usman after that, and then Santos versus Ankalaev after that.
Damn, there's a lot of good fights coming up.
And then Volkov versus Aspinall after that.
And Patty Pimblett's the co-main on that fight card, I think. Hey, I am so hoping that Tom Aspinall will knock out Volkov and like propel himself into the top 5, or at least the top of the top 10. Because damn, I really want to see him do some good things. But anyway, Ben, anything else you wanted to throw out there before we take it to the house?
I don't think so. Well, you're obviously working on a very, very, very big interview for us. I
think it might be. I think it might be next week at some point. I need to check back, but yeah.
We have the potential for a humongous interview on the horizon. One of the bigger interviews we've been able to score. So keep an eye open for that. And as you mentioned on our other episode, huh?
I just got a message that I will know tomorrow which day is good. So,
and as you mentioned last week on our last episode, we've also got some other big stuff in the works.
Hell yeah!
So just keep an eye out for some future projects from us. Things are going well.
Some pretty cool shit. So, all right, Senor Benjamin, we will take it to the house. Be good, bro, and we will reconvene on Sunday night to talk about the fight results. Be good, bro.